Guys, this is Madhvi from TaroticallySpeaking.com, and today I'm here to review this really interesting deck called the Night Sun Tarot. This deck is one of the many decks that have been published by the Lo Scarabeo company, and I believe the creator of this deck is Fabio Listrani. I hope I have pronounced that correctly. If I haven't, I'm really sorry. A little bit before I get into the review of this deck is that this is one of those decks that I used to see it on Instagram. I even Google image searched the pictures, and I looked at it on Eclectic Tarot, and this is one of those decks that really made me uncomfortable. For some reason, looking at the imagery just made me feel uncomfortable. And so I was like, should I buy this deck? Should I not buy this deck? Do I want to buy this deck? Do I don't want to buy this deck? It was a lot of push and pull internally, but then I was like, what if it makes me uncomfortable? There's got to be a reason for it, right? The imagery isn't, to be honest, if I look at it from a very detached perspective, the imagery isn't like, bad or disgusting or something like that. It's actually pretty spot on. So I was like, what? I have to get this deck, and because it makes me uncomfortable, I need to work with it. And so I ended up buying this deck, and guess what? It's been, every time I play with this deck, every time I ask it the hard questions, this deck never fails me, never. So I decided that I have to, review this deck because it really deserves a review from me. So anyway, sorry about the glare. I have the lighting. I'm experimenting with that, but because of the glossy surface of the box. Now, this is a cardboard box, right? As you can see, right, from all four sides, this is a cardboard box. So if you're going to be storing this deck, this is, and playing with it occasionally, this is good. But if you're going to be playing with it a lot, then you better invest in, some kind of a long-term strategy, maybe getting a bag or something, or a box or something for this deck. All right. But if you're going to be like occasionally, sporadically playing with this deck, then this box is a great place to store it. It's a standard cardboard box. There's nothing extraordinary about it. Now, being a Lo Scarabeo deck, just like many others, this one comes equipped with a little white book and then the cards. There is no extra book that comes with it. I'm just going to put these cards aside for a little moment because I want to talk about the LWB, or the little white book. This little white book is I would say, important, because if you really want to get into the imagery of the Night Sun Tarot, I would not recommend skipping through this. I want you to spend some time and read what they have written over here, and go through it as you are, pick up each card, read what it says here. The keywords and stuff are okay, but sometimes they have one sentence, like after each, say for each major arcana, they have the Kabbalistic and astrological reference and stuff. And then you have all these keywords, sadly no reverse keywords. But then you have, a very interesting question, like, what must I free myself of while traveling along my path so I can channel my energies more effectively? This is for the Fool card. And for the Magician, it's like, where should I direct my potential? So it's something interesting that comes through for each card of the major arcana. Nope, but not for the minor arcana. They just have keywords for the minor arcana. Then there is something I know I'm going a little back and forth, but the whole philosophy of the Night Sun Tarot is kind of, I'll just read the first few paragraphs of this LWB. That if the Jungian notion of shadow indicates mainly the dark side of our personality, it is then the task of a transversal light that travels along a different spectrum to illuminate and make it possible, in a language all of its own, to access those areas of our mind that are complementary to the conscious self. Okay, so what they're trying to say is that there is a different kind of a light, a different spectrum of light that might illuminate the shadow aspects of ourself, right? And a light emitted by an anomalous sun, nocturnal and dark, that enables us with love and under the guidance of our most sincere will to find the right balance, allowing the self to fulfill its own identity. Sorry. So that kind of, brings the whole concept of, the name, the night sun, right? What they're trying to show is there is maybe a different sun that works in the shadow aspect of the self, of, that shows a different kind of, or shines a different kind of light in the shadow aspect. And that's where the imagery is coming from. The language of this non-light is expressed through the tarot thanks to the use of images, symbols, and analogies capable of reflecting the world submerged in our subconscious. This approach is a tangent of the psychoanalytical approach where, instead of teaching a code that is comprehensible to the consciousness, the language of intuition is used directly. So, and then there's more. It's just like, it will be like me reading through the LWB, but I will always say this: read through this LWB. It is totally worth it. It is a very good idea to read through the LWB, because if you want to really get into the theme and the ethos of this deck, this is going to be the guiding light that will really get you more aware of the imagery and the reasons behind that imagery. Now, of course, it's a Los Caribbean deck, so you'll have English, Italian, Spanish, French, and German language instructions as well. So that's why it's a pretty thick book, but it's okay. The English one, okay, after the meanings and stuff are done, there is a little bit about the numerology. All right. And I believe that this particular deck is kind of a combination of the thoughts and the Marseille philosophies and also the Rider-Waite. So it's kind of combining everything in there. And so the numerology also does play a bit of a role there. So you have numerology, and I believe this is the Trident of Shiva spread that they have shown right here on the first page that they are talking about. And then we get into the next Italian language explanations, instructions, and so forth. So we have about 15 pages, starting from third page 3 to page 15 is your English language stuff, and then the other languages. So that's your LWB. Very useful. I will not recommend giving it a miss. In fact, I will recommend going through it while you're playing with the cards. So now let's put this LWB aside and let's have a look at the deck, because that's kind of what we're here for, isn't it? And there is an extra card that comes along with the deck, and an extra card again at the top, which has the same image as the one on the box. And I believe this is the image of the Chariot card, because you can make that out. So yeah, and yeah, let's talk a little bit about the back of the card. Clearly this is not reversible, as you can see, upright, reverse. You can very easily kind of just make out, right? But so it's kind of even with the meanings in the LWB, it was pretty apparent that the reverse meanings are not there. Maybe the deck creator didn't intend for us to use this deck with reversed cards. Again, it's, I think, which is all fine, but I think it's up to the person using the deck, right? If you want to use reversed cards, use it. Don't let this bother you. The fact that the pack is not reversible, don't let it bother you. What I do is, if I'm working with a deck like that and I want to use my reversals, I just close my eyes and pull the cards. That way I'm not kind of influenced by the imagery while pulling the card, and I'm conscious. It's very strange, but consciously we don't want to pick up reversed cards, although some reversed cards are good to have. Anyway, a debate for another time, I'm sure. So let's begin. This is your Fool card, and as you can see, the Fool doesn't have a face. It's more like a wooden sort of mask. Let me bring it closer. There's a wooden mask, and something in his hand there that's shining and glowing, like a top maybe or something. I don't know. It's very, very intense. And then of course there's the dog and stuff, and the bag. The usual stuff is there. It's very, very different, the imagery. I mean, it evokes a similar feel. Like you look at the imagery and it's like, yeah, it's got the same elements, but then there's something different about it, and that's maybe something that made me uncomfortable. If you are into the elements and the I guess the Hebrew alphabet and stuff, you have right at the corner, you will see the elements, the Hebrew alphabet, all of that is there. So if you're into that, you have the stuff there. It's very intense, this imagery, especially if you're going to be working. I would recommend shadow work, or looking at some really darker questions, like darker aspects of yourself kind of questions. If you're going to be looking at those, this is a great deck to work with that, because this presents it in a new way, but interestingly, in a very deep kind of way. This is your Magician, right? Let's notice the words abrahadabra, right? Right behind him on that. And I guess you have your 4 elements right there in front of him on the mat, right? The wand, the sword, the cup, and the pentacle. And he has, I think, in his hand a coin and a wand, and there's stuff on his hand. I don't know what that is. There's a lot to explore in this imagery, to be honest. And somewhere I feel like if I have to look in the LWB, let's do that. It doesn't really give us the information, right? It has the keywords, but that's it. There's no further information. So you are left to your own resources to kind of explore what those symbols mean, which can be a great experience, because then you can really, really get into various things all by yourself. It leads you down a journey of self-discovery, and it can be intense, and it can be very interesting. And then you have the High Priestess. Let me hold it up, because this card, it's kind of in the dark there, and she's got stuff going on in her book. That egg there, reminds me of the Marseille deck. And she has a veil on her face, and there's a cage, and there's something in that cage. I wonder what that could be. Hang on. Oh, it's a heart. It's a heart. Wow, interesting. There's your High Priestess. Ooh. The Empress. Now see, the egg has broken. It's a lot really here in this deck to be explored. That's, this deck is, basically we are just skimming the surface here. This deck really invites you to get into the imagery and explore. I like that about this deck. And it's really something that I believe exploring this deck will really open you up to more knowledge, more discovery. And to be honest, there is a Facebook group. I believe someone sent me a link a while back when I was a friend of mine, when I was chatting with him about this deck, and I think he sent me a link to a Facebook study group for this deck. If I think I will find that, and I will put that in the description box below. So if you guys are interested in studying the deck, you can totally join that Facebook group. And because they're really getting into the imagery there, they're really studying. And if they've probably, you can go back to the posts and, look through their old posts and stuff like that, and really get into the imagery and understand, because you have people with a lot of information sharing information with people who don't have that. So, knowledge, always share it. Flowers card. And see, the Chariot card, the image I kept saying is from the top cover. I like this. It's very interesting how the face of the charioteer is kind of obscured here. Let me hold it up. It's behind the armor or something. It's very interesting. Justice. Yeah, we have card number 8 is Justice. So it definitely follows the thought pattern in that way. The Hermit, complete with snake and all. All that sacred geometry behind there. The Wheel of Fortune. It's interesting. Strength. The Hanged Man. It is, the imagery is a little bit darker, all this stuff going at him, the blood red wines and stuff. But that's the whole point, I think, of this deck, is to evoke that feeling and really help and then make you get into it. Like, that's probably, that's one of the few things, see the Death card, pregnant, right? The point is, this is, I think, designed to make you feel uncomfortable, especially if you're coming from a very nice, Rider-Waite world, and then you look at this and it kind of jars you, and it's like, what the hell am I looking at? And it makes you think, because there is something there that's unsettling, but it always draws you in. It definitely did that for me. I don't know what your experience will be, but I'm sure you guys also, have felt something or will feel something when you look at the imagery. It's like it shakes you up, but then it draws you in. You're like, what is going on? I need to know more. And that's kind of very inviting, especially because it asks you or it takes you. It doesn't gently hold your hand, but it just pulls you into the shadow aspect of your conscious and subconscious, and says, look, and it makes you look. See the mask coming off, mask still on. There's a heart there. This is the Devil card, man. The Tower. Check it out. The star. The moon. It's interesting how this card is like, upright reversed. The sun. Judgment. And the world. We have Shiva. Dancing Shiva. Nataraj, actually. It might help if you were familiar with the Thought deck and the imagery of the Thought Tarot, and then you picked up this deck. It actually might help you understand this deck a little bit better, is what I've started thinking as I'm looking at these imagery. The images of this card. Sorry about that. Looking at the imagery and the images of this card. As I'm showing them to you, I'm like, okay, this evokes a lot of the stuff from the Thought. So if you guys are familiar with that deck, that's, or you should maybe get familiar with that deck and then, get into, then this deck will not be so unfamiliar, I would say. And here you have the Ace of Wands. Two of Wands. This is a very different Two of Wands, if you ask me. Let me hold it up. See? Then we have the Three of Wands. And the Four. So certain aspects you see a little bit of the there's more to the imagery than just four suit elements or certain number of suit elements, but then sometimes that's all you see. So there's Five of Wands. Six of Wands. Seven of Wands. Eight. I like how, the whole suit follows the same color patterns. Like all you see is red in the background. It is wands, it is fire, fire is red, or at least the color is red. And so, it follows that pattern consistently. It's Nine of Wands. Ten of Wands. Page of Wands. Here it doesn't go into the Thought style of princess and prince and king and queen. It just, page, knight, queen, king. Queen of Wands. And of course, King of Wands. Now, the red color gives way to a greenish, yellowish color. And so we have the suit of swords here. Okay, the Ace of Swords. Two of Swords. Three. The heart and everything. Four. Six of Swords. See, it's a different. Seven of Swords is so different here. It's very interesting. Now, if you were to use the storytelling method to get into the card story, this deck is really, really something else. I'm telling you this. I'm working with it on and off, and making the card stories isn't easy, but it's definitely very different, you know, this from your normal Rider-Waite stories, for sure, for certain. Eight of Swords. Nine of Swords. Woo, Ten of Swords. And here also we have the, you know, the element and you know, or I think this is Sun in Gemini, right? Astrological symbols here, and you know, so I think this is what? This is Gemini, but this is what, Sagittarius? I'm not sure. No, wait, Mars. I'm not sure. I was never really good with that stuff anyways. And now it becomes a little greenish. You know, you have your Page of Swords. The backgrounds become a little greenish, bluish, I think. Knight of Swords. Queen of Swords. King of Swords. Then we come into this Suit of Cups, and we have a nice teal blue kind of, no, not steel, but teal, T-E-A-L, teal blue kind of background color there. Ace of Cups, Two of Cups, Three of Cups, cute. Four of Cups. Now it becomes a little grayish, the background. Five of Cups. Six of Cups. There's five cups here and sixth one here. Seven of Cups. Eight of Cups. This is a very different Eight of Cups from your Rider-Waite Eight of Cups, right? Just saying. Nine of Cups. And your Ten of Cups. See how interesting that the 10 cups are arranged in the same Tree of Life. This is the pattern for the Kabbalah Tree of Life. You see this pattern in your Rider-Waite 10 of Pentacles, actually, the way the pentacles are arranged. Now you're seeing this here in your cups, 10 of Cups. And you have the Page of Cups, Knight of Cups, Queen of Cups. She's pregnant. King of Cups. And for the Pentacles, I believe we have green, grassy background, very golden coin there, and the Ace of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles. And notice all the people have this horn-like thing. Could it be because it's Pentacles is connected with the earthy suits, which are your Taurus or Capricorn, right? Or, bulls have horns, goats have horns. Virgo is also an earth suit. Virgins don't have horns. Oh boy, I just managed to not say something weird. 5 of Pentacles. Pentacles this. Or fruit. 7 of Pentacles. These are your 7 chakras. 8 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles. 10 of Pentacles. Page. Knight. Queen. Okay. Wow. So this was a flip through and also a review of the very excellent Night Sun Tarot, and I really genuinely encourage you, especially if you're trying to sort of branch out away from the Rider-Waite, but towards the thought, or if you're doing some kind of work, really deep dark work, shadow work, or working with some really dark questions perhaps, then this is a deck that, yes, it might make you uncomfortable at first sight, but it is really designed that way to evoke some really powerful emotions from you. And being tarot readers, we run on these emotions. I believe that the emotions are the key to our intuition and to our self-understanding and self-realization to a large extent, and just very detachedly watching us experience those emotions is something else. It's an experience, all right, and this experience will always lead you to greater insight. I know I've done a few of the shadow work type tough questions, I've played with this deck for that, and I've really received answers in my face, but on point and correct and true. So I know this deck is something amazing, and I encourage you to really give this deck a shot and really play with it. Again, I will look for the link for that Facebook group. For those of you who want to study it further, I will look for the link, and I'll be sure to put that link in the description box below. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch it. If you like this video, just please give it a thumbs up so I know that you like it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go right ahead and subscribe. I also put out a newsletter, an email newsletter, once a month at least, and so you can totally go and sign up for that. The links for all of that will be in the description box below. If you want to order a tarot card reading from me, a tarot and Lenormand reading from me, do so. Again, the links are in the description box below. And yep, you can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever social media platform is your platform of choice. And I'm there. I put out a card a day reading, with a deck, with the same deck every month, a different deck every month. So you can totally follow me there. Yep, basically, and if you have any questions, anything that you want to talk to me about tarot, just email me, get in touch with me, put your comments. I will always respond. I love talking tarot. Alright, so thank you for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. Until then, stay good, be good, and play with your cards. Bye now.